It is not your enemy that bears these rings.
Spoiler alert, in Season 2 of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Cirdan makes reference to an old conflict. But what battle is he referring to? In Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 1, Elrond gives the 3 elven rings to this ancient elf in the hopes that he will have some insight into how to use these formidable weapons. Not to be let down, Cirdan informed Elrond that the rings may be swallowed by a nearby deep hole in the sea, ensuring their disappearance forever. He made reference to a catastrophic catastrophe in Middle-earth's past when he remarked that this trench was the result of an ancient war. It is possible that Cirdan was among the few elves in Middle-earth who were aware of this old conflict. This figure, who Elrond debuted in Rings of Power Season 2, is the oldest and wisest of his kind. Considering the elves' eternal existence, this statement has significant weight, even older than Elrond and Gil-galad, who were born in Valinor before the sun ever rose, are Galadriel and Celebrimbor, 2 of the elves who lived throughout the first age of Middle-earth. But Cirdan would have been born not long after an epic conflict had wreaked havoc across Middle-earth.
A voice that could make the very sun weep tears of fire.
Welcome to Movie Spy. Cirdan is talking about a fight with Morgoth from before the First Age, when the Battle of the Powers altered Middle-earth's very composition. The Dark Lord Morgoth, Sauron's former overlord before the Second Age, was mentioned a lot in the first season of Rings of Power. Formerly known as Melkor, Morgoth was a Vala, a creature frequently likened to a titan, archangel, or demigod. In addition to taking care of Middle-earth and the children of Iluvatar men and elves, the Valar took part in the creation of the universe. But even before the children actually awoke, Melkor started to cause problems. This led to the Battle of the Powers, a titanic conflict between Melkor and his fellow Valar. This was considerably more than any battle between men, dwarves, orcs, elves, or even Sauron in The Lord of the Rings. The Valar ruled the earth, and as Cirdan stated in Rings of Power, they employed Middle-earth's physical makeup as weapons. The outcome of this conflict was the creation of numerous familiar and beloved fantasy landscape elements, including rivers, mountains, canyons, and trenches such as the one Cirdan proposed tossing the Rings of Power into. How long before the Battle of the Powers took place? The Valar's conflict with Morgoth took place during the Years of the Trees. The Years of the Trees, which preceded the First Age, but were yet officially a part of it, saw the start of the Battle of the Powers sometime around 1090. This would have coincided with the initial awakening of the first elves in Middle-earth, who were created by the god Eru Iluvatar from The Lord of the Rings. Cirdan was probably descended directly from these elves, and it is possible that he was born early enough to have witnessed the distant lights flashing during the Valar's battle with Melkor or felt the ground tremble. It is difficult to pinpoint exactly how long before Rings of Power this occurred, though. After the Years of the Trees ended in 1500, the First Age began and lasted for 590 years. The Years of the Trees, on the other hand, were measured in Vailian years, which are equivalent to around 10 solar years, whereas the First Age is measured in solar years. Thus, from the start of the Battle of the Powers in 1090 to the conclusion of the First Age, approximately 4,690 years elapsed. The Battle of Powers occurred roughly 6,190 years before Cirdan informed Elrond about it in Rings of Power. When you factor in the roughly 1500 Second Age years, the year the Rings of Power were made in the timeline. How Morgoth and the Valar won their battle. Morgoth and the Valar came to a temporary agreement. From 1090 to around 1099, or roughly 90 solar years or 1,296 years at the 144-year rate, the Battle of the Powers took place. The Valar eventually had Morgoth surrounded in his fortress, Utumno, and broke through after a protracted siege, capping decades or centuries of brutal warfare. For centuries, the Dark Lord was imprisoned in the Void. But Sauron and other evil forces stayed in Middle-earth. Cirdan was encouraged by the Valar to go westward to Valinor while all of this was going on. But this was not the end for Morgoth. He was called before the Valar after being imprisoned in the Void, and he asked for pardon there. This was given to Morgoth by Manwë, the brother of Melkor and king of the Valar, and allowed the Dark Lord to reside in Valinor for a while before making his way back to Middle-earth after destroying the 2 trees of Valinor. This and other factors finally brought about the War of Wrath and the ultimate demise of Morgoth, except from Dagor-Dagorath. However, Rings of Power's events demonstrate that Middle-earth suffered from Morgoth's evil for centuries. Thanks for watching.